Hello.
Hey, Paul. Happy to see you again.
Good to see you.
Okay, we are recording this conversation now, so we can proceed as you wish. I was telling you that we are in a crucial situation in Chile, political crucial situation, and from our Council of Foresight, that is a non-partisan an independent organization, non-profit. We are all academic people from different ideas and sensitizations, but we are not partisan, so we are very worried about the future of our country and the whole region, Latin America. You know, Latin America is in a very, very bad situation right now. Worse than Chile, but in Chile we have a critical situation in poverty and instability. So at this moment, to the people that is a candidate to the presidency and to the parliament and the members of the Constitutional Convention, we are preparing as council a proposal in order to establish at the high political level of the country, inside the Constitution, an institution of foresight, an office of foresight to study and to make proposals to the parliament, to the presidents, to the ministers, the enterprises about the future, about the challenges we are facing, and have an anticipatory governance.
Yes.
That's our idea. So if we have a message from you, from Jerry, from other people from Europe, in different countries, we can have more, shoulders.
Yes. No, fair enough. And I have to say, first, I thank you for the invitation. It is a great honor, and I can say good things about you that you can't say yourself. I can say that Héctor and my friend Jerry Glenn are probably the two greatest leaders in the world today in building the new international foresight which all of humanity needs. So your proposal, I won't say the election, your proposal is important, not just to the future of Chile, but to the entire world. Because you and Jerry have provided leadership, Chile has provided some leadership in some critical areas, essential critical areas. And if you build this new office, Chile can be a great leadership asset for the entire world. And that is why I'm grateful and honored to be able to speak to the world's future leader. That may well be how it works. And there are several reasons why this is so important. Many reasons. I did not used to worry as much as I do now about the survival of the human species. I worked for many years in the National Science Foundation of the US. I have come to learn how great a privilege that was. Because in the old National Science Foundation, before certain people tweaked it a little, in the old National Science Foundation, which they're trying to build back, we had access to all of the top thinkers in all of the fields of human research. We had a review process, which helped us understand which is propaganda and which is truth. And that's very important. We had access to the real science. But sometimes the real truth is not what you want to hear. For example, I will never forget a meeting in 2009 when the director of geosciences of NSF invited us all to a big meeting. I was working with the US Senate at that time on climate issues, but I came back for this meeting. And at this meeting, they introduced us to a guy named Peter Ward. And the head of geosciences said, this person, Peter Ward, is the world's #1 expert on the mass extinctions of life in the past history of Earth. If we do not know the lessons of history, we are doomed to repeat them. And one of the lessons is many times the top species on Earth died because of certain climate effects. And I have studied this more and more. This year, I'm doing a new book for IEEE on climate risks and what we can do about it. And I have learned that the climate risks we are facing today are much worse than anything you have heard. If you get to the real science, you folks are near something called the Humboldt current. And at the base of the Humboldt current, there are nutrients and reduced oxygen. That is what led to the biggest death in the history of the Earth before. It is happening now. When I learned that these dangers are real, I immediately spoke to my friend Jerry Glenn, who is the world head of the Millennium Project, and said, Jerry, we got to do something. This is international. And Jerry proposed to the Secretary General of the UN, we should have a climate security office or division right in UN headquarters under the Security Council. In fact, that's not the only existential risk. There are things happening on the internet that are even bigger and even scarier and harder for people to understand. We need a new office. And you, Hector, have certainly played a critical role in getting this proposal through. We need to do it. We need to do it right. And we need to have the intellectual substance, because many United Nations programs ending up being cocktail parties for friends of friends who know nothing. We need the serious intellectual integrity. At the University of Chile, I have seen that intellectual integrity. I have worked with people like Pablo Esteves and Rodrigo Palma Benque, who have put forward the highest intellectual standards you will find anywhere on Earth. And they have connected to other countries in South America, and even to people like me. These intellectual standards, combined with a deep study of the risks we face, that's essential. We cannot overcome these risks if we do not understand them, if we do not have foresight about the problems, and thank God about the solutions, because there are new solutions coming also, which IEEE wants me to write about in a book. And I've learned a lot. We have a lot of opportunities the world has ignored. If we count on lobbyists in cocktail parties in Europe with good friends, we won't find the new science and the new technology, which is emerging. And you guys could play the central role in informing this world. And the information is what the whole world needs. So I'm grateful to speak to the next leader of this project.
Thank you. Thank you very much, all. I see clearly what your what is your message to us, and specifically, I would like to ask you two things, if you have time to give us. Okay, one is, why do you think that the artificial general intelligence is a threat for the
Okay, good.
existence of the humanity, because this is one of your main
Yes.
issues and concerns about the future of the humanity. And the other is the climate change, because you are working now in different ideas and solutions about the climate change.
Yes.
The COP26 has resolution that are not enough, as you say.
To put it mildly.
Yes. Okay, please.
COP26 was a disaster, in my view. There were a few good things, but on the whole, it was a disaster. In some ways, it helped. I'm glad they noticed methane exists, but in many ways, it set us back, unfortunately. But the artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
I said the threats that are coming now from the internet are bigger, sooner, even than the worst climate change. But they're hard for policy to address because few people understand them. Our new book, when I look at the outline of the IEEE climate book that we're planning, I think people will look at the outline and they will understand, basically. But when it comes to what is coming in the internet, the technology and science and mathematics is much more advanced, and it's a challenge for people to understand. I have heard people claim to be experts on robots and artificial intelligence. I've seen people advising heads of state, and I don't know whether to cry or to be sick. I can't say one small thing. I mentioned Pablo Esteves, who is in the University of Chile.
Yeah.
Pablo Esteves, I think a year ago, was head of the Computational Intelligence Society of IEEE. And many people don't know what IEEE is. They should know what IEEE is. It is the world's largest professional scientific organization. More than 300,000 members all over the world. I remember I was once in the office of a senator, and the aide said, well, who are these people? And I said, well, look at it this way. The president of IEEE has to win election. It is a very strongly contested election every time. He has to win election with more than 300,000 voters, mostly not English speakers, mostly with PhDs who don't believe what any politician says. And if you don't have a formula, they don't believe it. Can you imagine what it is like to win an election in that kind of framework? Instantly, the staffer said, the president of IEEE must be an interesting person. He usually is. But Computational Intelligence Society is also international. Pablo was the head. But that society is the one which developed this thing we call the new artificial intelligence. It did not come from the computer scientists. The computer scientists learned maybe, I don't know, 2008. Before 2008, the lead textbook on AI from the computer scientists said neural networks could never do X, Y, and Z. They'll never be important. Okay. And I know the person who wrote that. These are people I know. He was rather surprised when they found out it worked. And I was the one who created the surprise, because I funded some people in the neural network community who then went and Andrew Ng was the leader of that group, who went to speak to Sergey Brin of Google and said, your textbook says it's impossible. I said, that's right, I know that. Guess what? Here are the computer runs. Here is the data. Here are the benchmark tests. And all of a sudden, when Google became interested, we had this giant revolution. But the Computational Intelligence Society was doing this for decades. This is where it comes from. And we have more advanced technology. We know what's coming. And I promise you, there are great risks. when Stuart Russell of Berkeley, the author of the great textbook, when he tells us, beware of slaughter bots, autonomous weapons, not controlled by humans, controlled by computers who decide who to kill, you should worry. We need to do some new work to prevent the risk. When he says that, I laugh because he understates it. He says these things will be possible. I have seen those things, and many of them use algorithms which I personally developed. And the problem is, can we save the world from these horrible algorithms which I developed? And the answer is the world can be saved, but only if we have the right kind of coordination, if we work together to design and deploy safer systems. And what they're deploying now is not safe. I've seen what's going on in every country of the world. And they're saying things like, what are the Elon Musk things? He points to this big slaughter-bot drone. He says, how do we make it safe? And a professor says, we know, we'll pray to it. We'll put a happy face on it. We'll make it smiling, friendly AI. But they won't change the computer program. And if you don't have a new computer program, you are not safe. There are ways to write the correct programs. My webpage kind of describes what kind of designs you need to be safe, but only if we have a United Nations coordinated, open, transparent effort do we have any chance of preventing the worst from happening. The risks are real. We also need the internet. We can't forget the internet. So the point is, it's like a bicycle. You have to learn how to ride faster if you want to be safe. If you keep moving ahead slowly, you will die. In the present circumstances, we are on a path to death right now. But with new efforts and new collaboration and understanding, it is possible to overcome the problems with better technologies, but only if we work on it. And it has to be international.
Yes, we need a global perspective to face these challenges and these threats and existential threats that we have right now and you mentioned. And do you think, Paul, do you think that it is possible that the United Nations and the Secretary General, Guterres, receive this proposal and put this proposal in discussion inside the United Nations Secretary General and will some short term establish an office like the office we are proposing from the Millennium Project and from you and the World Future Study Society. You think
I
it's
know
possible?
the Secretary General is listening. The Secretary General is listening. If the IEEE book is good enough, pray for us sinners. If this IEEE book is good enough, the Climate Office will be an excellent start.
Yeah.
And the Secretary General and John Kerry both asked for this new office under the Security Council for the climate part, and that could be a start. We need one for the AI as well. If they are listening, then our job is to give them something good to listen to. And that's where you come into it, because the Foresight Center of Chile could play a critical role in providing the information which they need to hear.
Okay, we, as I mentioned before, we are trying to convince political leaders in Chile and to establish this kind of office inside the institutionality of the country. So your ideas and your proposal and your message is very important for us, Paul. I appreciate it. I thanks a lot you for your words for your text that I receive every day. It's very important for me to read your text because keep me updated in these studies that you are doing. So I don't know if you would like to say something more as a message to the members of the Chilean Council of Forces and Strategy.
So the main thing I have to say is thank you. It is a great honor to speak to someone who should be the leader of a major future in the world. And the main thing I ask is let us stay in touch because we need dialogue. This requires new international dialogue, and I will be glad if I can be part of your dialogue.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you very much. We will keep in contact. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.